is. Okay.
She said it's official. Yeah. Phyllis is bringing in Doug Miller, the son of Steve
Oh,
Miller. He's an
really?
attorney. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
She feels she needs to be represented?
I asked the same thing. I hope her like assistant's not that she's
That's
gonna.
that's amazing. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Topic, quick topic for you.
Yeah, let's do it. I said 8:10, so
Yeah, you
it's
got a couple.
8:02. Yeah, right.
Okay.
Perfect.
Here it is.
Yeah.
What are your grandkids gonna call you?
Are you kidding me? You're not gonna believe how perfect your story is.
I want to hear it.
Okay, so oh my gosh, Brooks is 1.5.
Yeah.
We've tried to. We had a great name for me. It was called G Dog because Gordon G Dog. He's not there yet, but
But that's in the wings potentially.
yes, yes, it's
Yeah.
waiting. That'll be a great day. But
Okay.
oh,
I love it.
you can't believe I got to see your shirt again. Hold on. But
Yeah.
so I watch him a full day Tuesday, half day Thursday,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of rough with him, right? I just do things. I punch him, I slap him, I like lovingly, and,
This is
and
not.
I take him, I put him up, and I blow in his face again. And apparently, I do it so hard that it comes out like a. So as he's getting smarter,
Mm.
that sounds like making a fart noise with your mouth. All his other grandparents and parents he has names for,
Yeah.
but my name is. It gets better.
I mean, this is like some like jungle tribe dialect with clicks, right?
Yeah. So
You're
every
not.
time he sees a picture of me at home, like Anna tells
I,
me, she'll show him pictures, and he's like,
I want to see the Wycliffe translators like translate this.
so here's where it gets sad. He usually takes like an hour and a half nap or so.
Oh, it's so
Hour
good.
and a half is the sweet spot. It could be an hour, could be two is great, but last Tuesday was none. And
Oh.
he was having like a cold or something. He was really upset. And I put him in and he screamed and I was like waiting for him to calm down. And all of a sudden he started yelling. And all I heard was he was calling
He's
me.
calling for you. Sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's so good. I
yeah,
love that.
that's my name right now. I hope it's
Oh.
more cohesive and yeah.
So my wife's mom, you've met her.
Yeah.
Her grandma name is Gigi because I
Geek.
think one of her grandkids that's what came out and it stuck, right?
Yeah.
But I think our generation we want to set the name and kind of control it. And so Laurie's nickname is Lala.
Like it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So they and our three, two grandsons, daughter-in-law, and my son have a daughter in Florida, two grandsons in Denver. They call her Lala.
Lala.
And so, I had this discussion before the grandkids were born with my sons-in-law, and they wanted me to be called El Padre. Which
Fantastic.
I feel like that might be in Who's Your Daddy, the movie with Will Ferrell and
Oh,
Mark
Wahlberg. Uh,
Wahlberg.
yeah. El Pod.
El Padre.
Fantastic.
But
Yeah.
they weren't. My Lori was not going to stand for that, so I became Pop.
You still have
So
time.
Lala.
You have time to work that in for like a nickname.
Oh, I mean, you're going to be G Dog at some point, and I'm
I'm working on it.
El Padre, right? I'm going to work on it as well.
Yeah, because when he goes to kindergarten, I don't want him. Hey, hey.
Or do you? Or do you? That might be kind of funny.
It's very
Oh,
funny. You're right. Why fight it? Yeah.
yeah,
So
it just happened. So I'm Pop, and I was okay with Pop, but
you could build on that.
they call me Poppy, which is I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, right?
You could build on that. There's ways to branch out from that. It's a core.
Anyway, a friend of mine at work got me this shirt. Grandude would be fine. I don't know if you,
Like a grandpa, only cooler. It's the best, isn't it? Smarter than ridiculously good looking. Okay, yes, excellent.
a great shirt.
Yes, it is.
Good friend to get. So grand dude would be good too, I think.
It is. And dude,
You got the dude and the grand dude.
yep. No, they'll definitely work into that. So, um,
Yeah.
I told you a music related, um, a Home Depot story that I had recently. Speaking of Home Depot, Phyllis Byrd coming on, Jerry Bird. Um, there was no Home Depot in Speculator, so yeah, he had to be very resourceful, and I can't wait to talk to her. And it's been a couple decades since we have, but a music related story. I was there a couple weeks ago, and I'm walking around. I go there quite a bit, maybe twice a week, and they have music playing, right?
Yeah.
And for some reason, the music caught. I heard Pink Floyd's "Shine on You, Crazy Diamond," and I'm thinking, nah, that's not coming from up there. That's not part of their. This is a corporate thing. It's somebody's cell phone, and I caught the end of it, and then it was like Supertramp, um, not like Give a Little Bit or It's Raining Again. It was like something obscure, like School. And I'm like, what the heck? This is so I go to check out, and there's these two young guys there, and I said, I gotta ask.
Who's in charge of music here?
I said the music. What's
Yeah.
and the two guys looked at each other, gave each other a high five, and he's like, "They took my suggestion." And he's like, "We keep telling people, we have the corporate. We keep telling the bosses that the people that come in here, they're contractors. They're
Yeah.
not. They don't want Taylor Swift." And, and I was like maybe the first person that gave him some positive
Oh,
feedback
that's
or any
so
feedback at
good.
all
Yeah.
because they were, yeah, it was like, oh, so very, very, yeah, gratifying. So speaking of Home Depot,
Fantastic.
admit
There
Doug
we go.
Miller. Are you ready for this? I'm going to share something too. It's pretty cool.
Oh, do you have your book handy?
I do. Why?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have you read something later.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Here we go.
Here it is.
All right. Admit. In the waiting room, Ed McMahon.
Can you hear us? Oh, wait.
Yes.
Yeah. Doug Miller, we can hear you.
Need some video too, right?
Hey, there we go.
Here we are.
It's all
Doug,
because of him,
Phyllis.
not because of me.
All right. Well, we were talking before this. Doug, you're brought on for technical assistance, not because you're a lawyer and you're protecting Phyllis from.
She needs representation.
We're not going to press on anything. So,
Yeah, I don't think she needs representation for this, but
no.
Do we?
Maybe we do. Yeah. But we'll just, oh, this is wonderful. Phyllis, you look great. And Doug, you grew up.
a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm old and I have a lot of gray hair now, so
Oh, well,
That happens.
yeah,
we all do.
Happens. Yep.
Thank you so much for doing this.
sure.
Yeah. And you're coming in from, wait, like near Lancaster, PA or around that? Where exactly?
We're in Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
Carlisle.
Okay.
Car show world. Have you ever heard of car shows?
Car show. Well,
Yeah.
Carlisle is known for their car show, and there is one this week, so you can't get around town.
all right. All right. Well, this is our way of connecting with you then instead of having to fight the traffic. Tom and I have been talking. This is our fourth or fifth time we've done this, fifth, but only the fourth time that we've spoken to someone else. We talked to Jim Olson, my uncle Bob Purdy, Steve Punk Vance, and now you. And it's just so much fun to reconnect with, people from camp. And I in our conversations, Phyllis, you told me that you were hoping to keep your emotions together, so I'm not going to try to press on that. But I do want to kind of take us back to um, how you came to camp, how you came to Speculator. I know some of the connections with the Steve Miller family, but um, just wondering what you could kind of set the table for us with that, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
We were at a camp in northeast Missouri.
Okay.
It was the kids' family camp. And it was like our training ground.
Yeah.
We got there simply because God tapped us on the shoulder and we both felt we were supposed to be there. That meant leaving family, and the twins were just about a year old. No, that's not true. However old they were, 3, I guess they were 3 at that time. And we picked up and left our family and went to, in the middle of nowhere, to this little camp and worked there. And like I said, we felt it was our training ground. And after 2.5 years, we felt that tap again, that something else was waiting for us. We had an offer at another camp. And then Steve called Jerry and told him, hey, they're looking for a maintenance man at camp. And I thought of you. And Gordon said he would like to interview you. And so Jerry hopped in a plane in Des Moines, Iowa, and flew to Speculator and left me in Missouri with the boys. And he interviewed, and Gordon offered him the job.
All right. So we flew to Speculator International Airport. From, yeah,
I'm not sure where he went, but
I'm sure it was Albany or Syracuse. But yeah, Grandpa was he was a master negotiator, and when he knew that he wanted someone, and I am certain that I know Grandpa was just he admired Steve Miller so much that that recommendation surely carried a ton of weight. If Steve Miller, who had been there, had been a chef and was now his prize chef in Woodlands, told him, "Look, this is a friend of mine. He can do this job." Grandpa would have been like, okay, I'm after it. I'm laser focused on making sure that we can get him and his family here, because the family part is huge. It wasn't lost on Grandpa or Dad or us that moving to Speculator was certainly an adjustment.
Missouri.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're not in Kansas anymore, or Missouri anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What year would that have been, Phyllis?
We went to camp in October of 19.
I think it would have had to have been 1980, because I think we moved
19
in 1979.
Okay.
Probably August of 79, I think, is when our family moved up. And I think I was in kindergarten.
Doug, where'd you move from?
From Carlisle, actually, Carlisle, Pennsylvania, where we're at now.
Okay. So you guys were in Carlisle. You're in Missouri. How are your family's friends?
So we're actually related. My mom and Phyllis are sisters.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
It all comes. That's okay. New knowledge for Don. That's
Yeah.
I should have known that. I feel like I should have known that. I didn't.
okay.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So John and Joel are my cousins then.
Okay. John and Joel, Julia.
He's 4 months older than John and Joel, twins.
Yeah. You blew my mind, Phyllis, when you told me they were 50 the other day in the message.
They turned 50.
Yeah. We all turned 50 this year. So
Wow. It's okay on the other side of 50. And look at the grand dude.
Mostly okay. Yeah.
mostly okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you, like Don, were able to grow up in Speculator, right? Would you consider that home?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
yeah. I mean, we lived there for 9 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I moved right before I started high school, but no, I definitely consider, you know, hometown where I grew up and
Yeah.
learned how to ski at Oak Mountain along with everybody else. And yeah,
Bob
Yeah.
Purdy did not learn to ski there.
is that right?
We learned that when we talked with him a couple weeks ago. Yeah, he didn't take advantage of it while he lived there.
Yeah. So I'm trying to picture Grandpa's final pitch to the Byrd family, and it would have been, Steve Miller, you're going to come here. It's a cold winter, but
Yeah.
I'm going to throw in a lifetime supply of baked Alaska. Anytime, anywhere you want it, it's yours. Do we have a deal? Sign right here.
I have no idea what Gordon said that, your grandpa said to Jerry while I was gone. The one thing I do remember was your grandpa was looking for someone who was willing to work with what was his name? Peck, Mr. Peck?
June Peck.
June Peck.
Yep.
Because he had been there so long and things were done a certain way.
Hmm.
And your grandpa knew that if somebody came in there who suddenly, oh, well, that's not the way to do it. We should do it this way, kind of thing. And Jerry wouldn't be that way. He would take all his advice from June because he had done it so long. And then eventually, if he thought there was a better way, he would do it later. But June and Jerry got along fine.
It's interesting you say that, Phyllis, because in my head, I remember that, Jerry took over for June. I did not realize that there was a transition period where they
Yes.
actually worked together for a bit.
It was for about a year.
Okay.
Yeah. June wasn't necessarily always there with the crack of dawn in the morning, but he would be there and he would tell Jerry that, and tell him information and all that sort of thing. Jerry had little tablets and he would write stuff down.
Yeah, that sounds like him. Yeah.
So how old were you guys in 1980 then? This is pretty early in your marriage that you're making this big change, right?
We were married in 1971. We knew each other 3 years after that.
9 years. 9 years in. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're not newlyweds making this massive change.
Well, I met Jerry in Pensacola, Florida.
Okay.
Really?
He was stationed in the military there, and I was teaching at Pensacola Christian School.
Okay.
And this nice young man showed up at church Sunday evening. The church was located close to his helicopter base, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
So he came to the apartment. They provided places for teachers to live, and he would come over to the apartment and cut out stuff for all of us teachers. And it was, you wouldn't do that nowadays, but back then you could. And that's how I met him. And
Amazing.
he wouldn't get married as long as he was in the military. And he said, when we're out for a week, a week after I get out of the military, we're going to get married. And that's what happened.
Was that the Air Force?
Pardon?
No, he was
that
in
the Air Force?
Navy.
Navy. Okay.
I'm trying to he worked with helicopters, but he ended up on being transferred to Norfolk, and he worked on flight deck.
Okay.
Crash
He worked on helicopters. Yeah, that would definitely give him the training to work on
anything.
Yeah, pretty much anything. Yeah, even a go-kart, Tom. That
What were your first impressions when you came to camp? Right. So he went to the interview and you guys showed up in October, which it's spectacular in October, but it's shortly going to get cold out. Right. So.
Well, I'd been at Camp of the Woods because his mom, Janet, had been
Sure.
before she met Steve at camp, but she had been to camp as camp nurse before.
Right,
And
right.
we as a family, mom and dad and my other sister and me had gone up to visit her. So I had been to camp, and I knew what it was like, but
Yeah.
it was so much bigger than the small little camp we were at. So of course we were a little bit, oh dear. And for when we got there, we drove cross country in a U-Haul with two little boys sitting in my lap most of the way. That was big before car seats. And we got to camp. They rented a house for us, the second house on Elm Lake Road, right across from Charlie John's. And it wasn't vacated yet. So we stayed in Woodlands for 2 weeks. And I remember Chucky Wong helping us unload our U-Haul, and all the furniture sat in the music, the music building that was right
Yeah.
by the road up to dining hall.
So at that time it was at the bottom. So there were three dining hall hills that would have been at the bottom of the dining hall hill that was like closest to the auditorium.
Yeah,
There.
it at one time was where the band, the musicians practiced.
Right, right.
And our furniture went in there, and we stayed in Woodlands for 2 weeks. And then we moved in, and that's where we were the whole time we were, until Jerry built a house.
Yeah. I actually, Phyllis, have to apologize to you for putting you in a bad situation. You're gonna laugh when you see this, but I'm gonna share my screen here. Let's see. Tell me when you can see that.
We see it.
Okay, good. Okay. So, here we go. So to describe where you lived, Phyllis, you were across from Lake Pleasant Central School. When you looked out your front window, you looked to your left, there was one house. When you looked to your left, one more house was another house, which was originally the Mazzanos house, but then it was my grandparent Johansson's house.
Yeah.
Do you recall that? Okay.
Yeah.
So we used to go there. Our friends, they had a basketball hoop there and a pool. And it started off pretty innocently. Okay, here's us going there. Here's me not realizing that a football wouldn't bounce. That was a short hoop. Okay, we dunked. Innocent fun, right? In the front yard. Okay, now here it gets a little bit dicier because this is my junior prom. The night before, I had a bunch of friends. We never slept the whole night. It was Chris Edwards, Jay Briggs, Anthony Alfieri. My friend Rich Gosselin had a truck. This is about 5 a.m. in June, and we decided we were going to go up there and have some fun on that dunk hoop at the house. Okay, so we jump in a truck. Jay Briggs, I cut what I was about to happen there. Chris Edwards pulling his tux. Okay, yeah. So here we go. We're going to fly up, leaving Woodlands 2. Now we're there. Okay. Oh, Chris is in his tux because he didn't bring a change of clothes. You recognize this house, right? Okay. So I'm sorry, this is 5 o'clock or 5:30 in the morning. You had to be like, what is going on? Okay. John Swift messing around. Rich Gosselin, he's still sleeping. Okay. Now here's where it's a problem. I put you in a bad situation, and I have to apologize. When the Mazzanos lived there, Billy and Mike had a bunch of friends over, and they thought it would be fun to get on the roof and jump off into the pool. And we did that too. And you saw that from across the street, and you told my grandparents, I'm not sure if you know, but there's a bunch of fellas up on the roof jumping into your pool. So you saw the back of this. That's me. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And so
if you had missed.
If I had missed, and I am so sorry that, okay, I will dump this, and let's see, I'll take that
Amazing.
away. There we go. Yeah. So my grandmother Johansson, yeah, she was always took things in stride, and
Yep. She didn't seem to get rattled very easily.
so she worked in Woodlands there, the Purdy Center, and she served tables and
Yeah,
kind of like you.
along with me. Yeah.
Yeah, she came from New Jersey, and when they retired, so they moving to speculator was quite an adjustment. But she loved, just getting to know people, and so. All right, here we go, Tom.
Okay, I do have stuff to share too. I'm going to put something up on screen in a little bit, but one anecdote that I wanted to tell you about Jerry.
Oh dear.
I did. What'd you say?
I said, oh dear.
No, it's amazing the things that you remember. This is so, I don't know, kind of obscure. I'll never forget it though. It's just, so I worked preseason 3 years, and Jerry was in charge of the preseason crew, obviously. And I mentioned to him one day, because I noticed he always wore an undershirt. And I was like, it's 75 degrees out here. Why are you cold? Why are you wearing an undershirt? And he shared some wisdom with me that I've never forgotten. He said, an undershirt when it's warm keeps you cool. An undershirt when it's cool keeps you warm. It stuck with me, and I can't even tell you how many people I've told that to, and I make sure I tell them who told me that, and it's true. It is so true. Anyway, it's just one of those truisms that
Seems fundamental. I wouldn't have, really.
I don't know.
Did you get that from the Navy, maybe?
I don't know. Maybe.
Pensacola, you would need that in one direction pretty much for 10 months of the year. Yeah.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
The staff always ask him why he wore those same colored clothes.
Yeah.
And it was just easier to have specific clothes that you always put on, you always wore, than to, he stood out in the crowd because he was always wearing the same thing.
Well, was there only one, and did you have to?
No.
Phyllis, I'm worried about what I'm going to wear on Don's podcast here every time. If I had just one shirt, no stress at all.
That's right.
So true. So I do want to tell you, I in some ways now, Don and I worked boat crew, and we had this discussion with Bob Purdy. It's a good job at camp. And the guys who worked maintenance all summer, those guys worked hard.
They did.
And they were very productive under Jerry's leadership. But I am a little jealous of them because, they got Jerry's leadership the whole summer. We only had it during preseason, and it was fantastic. And just the skills that those guys have learned, not just, hammer and nail type skills, like really useful skills that any DIY homeowner would love to know. Those guys were educated all summer long by the best. And I just wonder, have you ever thought about the impact he has had on how many people, right? I mean, hundreds and hundreds of different men and women that have just worked on maintenance, and they got to hear Jerry's truisms. They got to see his leadership style. He was calm about everything, and the practical, useful things that they were able to learn it's fantastic. And the work ethic, right? The work ethic. There were some key people I noticed work ethic at camp. Don's dad, his uncle, the people in the dining hall. Those people worked hard, and Jerry, of course. So, have you ever considered the impact that the two of you have had on the lives of people working at camp for the summer?
Well, Jerry was a very quiet kind of, I wouldn't say bashful, but he wasn't a person that wanted to stand out in the crowd. He always stayed in the background. And camp taught him a wealth of information by the men he was around, working with June Peck, and some of the challenges of things that needed fixed and needed done. It really, he just learned so much because he wanted to know how to do whatever needed to be done. I remember when the big dishwasher in Woodlands had been around a while, and it needed a part, some kind of a screen or something, and couldn't get it anymore. And so he decided that he would make it. And he made it, and I don't know if it's still working or not, but he made the part, and
Amazing.
so Camp didn't have to buy a new big dishwashing machine.
Wow.
Jerry was one of these guys, if he had had the chance, would have been, an engineer, mechanical engineer, because he just knew how stuff worked. He was fascinated by clocks. We still have a clock here that he found that was in parts in June's shop. Don't know where it came from. June didn't know where it came from, and so Jerry put it together and made it work, and it's hanging back there above our.
Oh my goodness, that's beautiful.
And he was just that kind of guy. He was always fascinated how things worked. And
Yeah.
Well, you made a comment that he wasn't one who wanted to stand out. Have you read Don's book, by the way? We're plugging
yes,
Don's
I
book.
have. Yes.
She has it here.
Okay, there you go. So, I
Here's
mean,
the plug. Should I hold it up longer?
he's referenced throughout the book because he did stand out, whether he wanted to or not, right?
Yeah, he in ways that Bobby Ballman told me that when he first came to camp, he worked for Jerry Byrd, and we all did in preseason. But then,
Right.
like Tom said, then it was just a crew. Bobby Ballman worked in that crew. One of the things that he appreciated most was that he said that Jerry had devotions every morning for the staff before the day started, and that really meant a lot to him, and still does to this day. And if you talk about standing out, Douglas, I gotta say, your father, I learned a lot through writing this book from my parents and other people about the histories of people who came to camp. I didn't realize, like, when I became kind of age, and my first real memories of working at Woodlands or growing up there was Steve Miller was the star chef. And as far as I knew, like, he came from, New York City. Grandpa bragged about him all the time. Like, this is a man who could have been cooking anywhere for the finest restaurants in anywhere in the country. But my parents reminded me that he actually had worked earlier before Woodlands in the dining hall. And he Grandpa knew that when it became time that they needed someone for Woodlands, which was his pride and joy, a building that he vouched for as chairman of the board, that they should invest money like they had never invested in anything before, that they were going to feature fine dining, and Steve Miller was going to be that guy, and not only be a draw for guests that wanted to have that upscale experience, but also in preseason wanted to feed the likes of Tom and me, who had metabolism that I can only dream about having, these days. But I just found it so fascinating. And then, your mom and Jan, for all that Steve was putting himself into this job, she decided, yes, I'm going to raise my family, but you know what? I'm also going to give myself to camp in a way that I'm going to be a nurse, which is a job that you can't predict on any given day what's going to happen. And it just speaks to me that, talking about the Byrd and the Miller families, how devoted they were, how much they gave of themselves to camp. It's really moving for me to think that through. So, and Douglas, I'm not sure you could even, at the age that you were there, I'm sure retrospectively you could look at it that way, but when you're growing up, that was just kind of the norm for you.
Yep, it was.
Do you remember living in the infirmary?
Oh yeah.
They lived in the infirmary because they needed somebody on site, nurse on site.
Yeah, I think it was more when myself and my sisters were younger, but we would stay in the infirmary all summer. It really became a problem if there's some sickness that went through staff usually.
Yeah, right.
And
stop with that moaning up there.
everyone needed the hospital beds. Then the five of us would usually cram together into one bedroom. So that got a little crazy. But I've often joked with people. I've never had to be in a hospital bed overnight, but I've spent plenty of nights in a hospital bed because that's in the infirmary.
Yeah, that is
that's amazing.
Yeah, not too many people can claim that. So